pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Ryan. At this time, if I could get a motion regarding approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are in open session, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the individuals who submitted letters of interest. And at this time, I'm going to name those individuals. Nathaniel Alexander, Marty Loudermilk, Miles McLean, James Seyfried, Cindy Sellers, and Tammy Smith. The format tonight, the interviews will be done independently, so we will follow the following list. We will first, via telephone, we will speak with Miles McLean because he has a work conflict, but we'll get the technical part of the interview over first. We anticipate and we would like to stay in a 10-minute time frame, but there's, you know, if it runs over, as with every meeting I have ever attended here, 10 minutes is it's a goal. It's not a mandate. Then next will be James Seyfried, Cindy Sellers, and Tammy Smith. But I would like to take the liberty. At this time, we had one submission that didn't meet the general statute, and it had to do with age. But I was really heartened to know that we have a student in our school system who is eligible to vote. It's over 18, works a part-time job, and just a wonderful young student that took the time to submit a letter of interest, a wonderful resume. They have stated they want to attend a 2-year college and then transfer to a 4-year college. And that's what we need, not only in this community, but in this country. We need young children who aspire to be public servants because, and so I think that we, as a board and as the school administration, if we should publicly acknowledge the efforts of Nathaniel C. Alexander. He lives on Cheatham Ford Road. It's hard enough for an adult to file for an election, go through the campaign, and then serve the public. Many people have done that before us, but I was just exceedingly happy to see this come in, and I just wanted to make note of that. We had another submission that will not interview, chose not to interview, and they have prior elected service, but the statute is very clear as to how we are to go about. It says all vacancies in the membership of the Boards of Education whose members are elected pursuant to the provisions of the subsection. It's the board's job, the remaining members of the board, to appoint a person to serve until the next election. And so that's, with this process, that's what we hope to, the objective we hope to meet. Now, it's exceedingly difficult, and you'd say, oh, just name a name. But, you know, we live in an environment where we depend on the electorate to elect a candidate to serve. And in this rare circumstance, the remaining board members, we're the electorate. So all our proceedings will be in public. The discussions we have will be here and open, but we do appreciate the rigor and the effort and the willingness to serve on this board. So without further ado, if you'll ask Renee to.
Renee, will you take the candidates to the conference room, and we will certainly send you after them when we're ready, okay?
Ready.
Hello,
Hello, is this Miles?
this is he.
Miles, it's Jennifer Hefner. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. Listen, our board meeting has started, and I needed to know, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, very good. I'm going to turn everything over to Chairman David Odom.
Okay.
All right.
Hello, Mr. McLean. We hope that you're in a safe environment, and we're going to go through approximately a 10-minute question and answer process. And Vice Chair Bridget Ryan will be asking the questions, and just answer at your leisure. The questions that you are answering are identical to the ones that all other applicants will be answering, so the playing field is level. So at this time, I'll recognize Vice Chair Ryan to ask you a few questions.
Hi, Mr. McLean. Can you hear me? Mr. McLean?
I'm having a little bit hard time hearing.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah, I can.
All right. We just got a few questions, and our first one is, please tell our group why you are interested in serving on the Alexander County Board of Education.
Well, through my career through the Department of Social Services with the Child Protective Services Unit, I'm pretty dedicated to the youth of the area and want to ensure that all aspects that we can provide for them are kept in a positive manner. And I also am from Alexander County and grew up through the school system and have a good understanding of what was available and what was lacking in the school system also. And I feel like just having that point of view on it to be able to provide new aspects to what we could change about the system to help our kids to make sure that they have what they need to succeed in life.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What do you...
All right.
Our number 2 question is, what do you perceive as being the most concerning state and national issues facing public education at the present?
I feel like the biggest safety to public education is just making sure that their values are kept where education itself is always a priority and that the kids are always put first, where budgets and money is not the deeming factor of a child's future. And that way that different curriculums and stuff like that is always moving forward to produce a better education for the kids and not letting money and all that dictate what happens to their lives.
Okay. All right. Number 3 is, what are some of the obstacles our school system is currently experiencing, and what is your role as a board member to help overcome these challenges?
I think some obstacles that I've been able to observe going through the school system itself was that it's deeming to want a child to go all the way through to either college, and then that's the only option, where I do think there needs to be more options for those who college is not the option and the answer to what they want to do with life. I think installing like collaboratives with local entities and agencies would help, where kids would not have to work only on honors classes versus non-honors classes, where they're being trained to be successful adults based on what they want to do with their own lives.
Okay, thank you. And our last question is, what strengths will you bring to our board that will benefit our current board and school system?
I know from being, I guess, in the know with what's going on in the county, there's a lot of decisions that will be made about schools and different things like that. And with my position, I'm pretty able to like make the right decision what's best for the kids and understand what needs to be done and that's going to benefit everyone in the future. And my personality is pretty deliberative and always works towards what needs to be done and does the best to accomplish that goal. And that would benefit the board.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add that you've not told us?
I think just, working with the county and being able to be with the children and because with all my foster kids that I work with, I'm constantly in the school system seeing what they're going through and just trying to make the best of like their situation gives me perspective on what needs to be done on the student side because the students, the staff, and the teachers are what it's about. It doesn't really matter about what's best for the overall, but it's what makes their lives more important is what we need to impact the most.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody, I'm sorry.
Okay. Any additional questions or any comments?
Miles, this is Matt Cooksey.
Yeah.
One of the things I caught you said is that your experience in being in the school system led you to have ideas about how things were going good and also things that going bad. Out of curiosity, what would be one thing that you would try to change if you were on the school board about your school system life that you had here?
Could you repeat that?
Wow, it's long. You were talking, can you hear me, Miles? Because
Yeah, I can kind of hear you.
we're going to try it this way. Miles, can you hear me through the mic?
Sort of.
Miles, what I was asking, you mentioned that the school system had pluses and minuses for you. If you were here, what was one
Yeah.
thing you would like to change about your experience from high school that you'd be better prepared for college?
I think just, always focusing on what options are there, because I remember when I was in high school, it was very basic to, very minimal careers, and there wasn't a lot of education on options and everything that's available, not only here in the county, but across the state. And I think working on education with the counselors and all that to make sure everyone's understanding of what options we could do for our kids, if it be military or universities, private colleges, different things like that.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Well, Mr. McLean, this concludes this interview. We appreciate your time.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James Seyfried. Good evening. At this time, Vice Chair Ryan will ask you a series of questions.
All right.
Mr. Seyfried, please tell our group why you are interested in serving on the Alexander County Board of Education.
All right. So, moved here about a year and a half ago. So I've been in Alexander County for a couple months and just excited about wanting to serve in the community, wanting to help out our students. I'm a youth pastor at Sulphur Springs Baptist Church, and so have several students in all of our school systems and try to be at the schools as much as I can to interact with the students. And so just want to try to make a positive impact in our community, help students be able to succeed as best they possibly can. And so just looking forward to the exciting opportunity that this would be able to open up for me and what we have going on. So, yeah.
What do you perceive as being the most concerning state and national issues facing public education at the present?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes, what do you perceive as being the most concerning state and national issues facing public education?
Okay. Most concerning to me is just the overregulation, I should say. Just too much control on what the principals can and can't do. I'd like to see a little bit more freedom in those areas. Some of the biggest, other than just that side of it, is just the ability for our guidance counselors. Been in a couple of the schools recently, and one of the guidance counselors said they just needed more assistance and more help with the issues that the students are dealing with. And so I think that the students are dealing with more now and pressures of life than they've ever dealt with, even in the 12 years that I've been out of high school. The pressures of society, as well as parents and teachers and everything, it can be hard on students, as well as other students just pressuring them, and the bullying, that's a big aspect of it. But just the guidance counselors, I believe, want to do and want to succeed, but they don't have the ability because of the lack of, I don't know, resources or whatever it may be. So I think that could be a big area that could be improved on as well. So.
What are some of the obstacles our school system is currently experiencing, and what is your role as a board member to help overcome these challenges?
Well, I've only been here a year and a half, and I haven't really heard a lot of obstacles or things that people are struggling with in that area. I don't know if it's the couple that I've heard in just the recent time that I've been here. It could be financial, just some financial struggles of schools wanting to do something, wanting to add on, but not having the ability of finances. So that could be a struggle there. And then just trying to figure out budget-wise of where we can go from there to help out the schools as best we can, the ones that are struggling, the ones that need those assistance and those needs.
Okay. All right. And what strengths will you bring to our board that will benefit our current board and school system?
So I've been a part of a Christian school in Idaho for 4 years before I moved here, and so I was the vice principal there as well as the youth pastor on staff there at the church and school, and so I was pretty instrumental in helping the school out and being able to direct the students, which is in no wise a scale of a public school system. I do understand that's a lot bigger in grand of scale, and so I've had some experience in that area, and I just think that being able to relate to students a little bit better with my age can help out. And then also just an outside eye coming in from not being raised here, not grew up here, seeing how other school systems work. I've got family members that work in Rowan County School System, as well as a good friend of mine who's on the board of Rowan County School System that I go to for a lot of advice. And so being able to have those thoughts and connections with other people, really be able to expand our thoughts and different ideas that can be brought in from new, younger blood and new life in a community can always help out. And so I would hope that I could bring some great thought, some great change, not necessarily a lot of change, but just some great outside, out of the box thinking that can help out.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we didn't ask?
I think I've done a real good job of asking questions.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Okay. Thank you,
Good.
Mr. Savage.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Cindy Thomas Sellers. Good evening.
Good, how are you?
Good.
Okay, at this time, Vice Chair Ryan will ask you a series of questions.
All right.
Ms. Ellers, please tell our group why you're interested in serving on the Alexander County Board of Education.
Okay, I have something to give you.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll pass them down.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be happy. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I was born and raised in this county. Had the privilege of attending Midnight School, grades 1 through 10, and then enjoyed going through the consolidation of the 3 high schools. Went to Alexander Central and graduated in 1972. And then I did my student teaching at Bethlehem School, taught my first year at Wittenberg, got married, and moved away to taught in a couple other school systems. Eventually came back to Stony Point, where I really enjoyed working there with the students there for several years. And when I went to Little Ryan, I really never wanted to do anything but be a teacher. So I've always been interested in education, and I've always thought since 2000, since moving back here, I thought I might try to do this sometime. And so the opportunity came up, and I thought, well, okay, I'll just throw my hat in the ring. Of course, I do have a college degree, as do my children, and really believe in higher education. My son has a master's, and also patriotism is a big thing also. My son's in the Air Force and was a U-2 pilot. Now he's flying for Southwest Airlines, but he's still in the reserves. And my daughter-in-law is in the Air Force. She's in the Florida National Guard, and she's studying for her bar exam now, which I hope she's going to pass. But that's the 23rd, I think, and so excited for her. But they both still are serving. So have a strong patriotism, love my country, and have always tried to instill that in my students. And so I just felt like that it may be time for me to step up and serve and try to serve here. I have high regard for you guys and the hard job you do. And I love to volunteer my time. I love to listen. I think that's a big part of your job, is to listen to the parents. And I want the best for the students in this county, because I think our children, on the last paragraph, they are our greatest resource. And our full attention should be given to developing their God-given talents and potential, no matter what economic background that they come from.
What do you perceive as being the most concerning state and national issues facing public education at the present?
That is a pretty easy answer for me. Privatization of schools all over the whole country, and the legislators defunding the public school system. And I think that's a big mistake, because what it leads to is the desegregation of schools again, basically. And I believe my children went to Statesville High School and went to the Statesville Public Schools. And a lot of times they were in the minority at their schools, and I think their lives were enriched by those other folks. They were the minority. So I think the more life experiences that you get being around people of different backgrounds is really great for all children. And I think that we need to be sure that our schools are funded. I know that's a struggle you guys have here too. In our state, it's the same thing. I believe in all education. I don't see anything wrong with parents having a choice of sending their schools where they want to, but just don't take it away from public education.
What are some of the obstacles our school system is currently experiencing, and what is your role as a board member to help overcome these challenges?
Well, I think finance is probably, it's hard to not go to make a budget when you don't really know necessarily where the money's going to come from. And with children going to the other schools, when school starts, by a certain date you have to have your number of children in your school system, and that's how you're funded. And then if they pulled out to go to private schools, charter schools, and then they come back in, then you still have to fund those children's education. And the money was not given to you by the state to do that. So I think all finance in general is a big problem.
What strengths will you bring to our board that will benefit our current board and school system?
Well, I love people. I enjoy, being around folks, and I think I would have to have an open door at my, I know that's gonna be a challenge at my office, when people may want to come in and talk, but I would be glad to do that. Probably set some times, when I can do that, have an appointment or whatever for those folks, but my door would be open for any challenges that people are having, and then, of course, I'd want to go by the guidelines of the board. The rules, I think rules are very important, and try to do that. Also, I think I could hold in confidence matters and try to make a good outcome for everyone.
Is there anything you would like to add that you've not told us?
Just be glad to serve. If I could, if I could do that, be glad to.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan.
Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Smith.
How are you?
At this time, Vice Chair Ryan will ask you several questions.
Hey, Ms. Smith. Please tell our group why you're interested in serving the Alexander County on the Alexander County Board of Education.
Well, I am very interested in our county and our community. Sugarloaf seems to be the smaller community in school, and I attended Sugarloaf, and so did my daughter there. And I just feel like I could represent our community from my standpoint of being a lifelong Alexander County resident. Graduated from ACS and went to Wilkes Community College for 2 years over there.
Okay. What do you perceive as being the most concerning state and national issues facing public education at the present?
Well, I think the salaries and money that the teachers get paid is not enough. That is a very difficult job. I have subbed from kindergarten up to high school, and that takes a special person, and I think they should be paid appropriately.
What are some of the obstacles our school system is currently experiencing, and what is your role as a board member to help overcome these challenges?
Well, I think safety is the #1 issue on everybody's mind with the way the world has turned today. I don't really have a good idea of what we could do, but would love to be involved in implementing any plan.
And what strengths will you bring to our board that will benefit our current board and school system?
Well, I'm a very honest, generous, and loyal person. I would be, my time is available at any time. I could, volunteer, go to meetings, go to Raleigh if we need to. I would really like to stand for our county and move our county forward.
Is there anything you would like to add that you've not told us?
No, I just would like to get involved in my county. I never really have been. politically, I'm nonpartisan, not registered Democrat or Republican like that, would like to get in to see the workings behind the scenes of how our county operates.
Okay. Anybody? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. That concludes our interview portion of the meeting, and we certainly appreciate everyone did a very good job, and let the record state that you did better than any group of candidates that we have ever interviewed in the history of this board. So hats off. So at this time, I think that we will call for a brief recess to review our notes, and then following that, we will come back in and I will open up the floor for comments or discussion from the board, and the board can decide whether they are ready to consider this or if they want to reconvene at a later time. But I do think a few minutes for us to review our notes is appropriate at this time.
I'm sorry. Yes, please.
discussing the snow and the temperature during our recess, so we were multitasking. At our prior meeting, when we scheduled these interviews, the board moved to adopt option A, which is the motion and vote method. In an open meeting, a member may make a motion, something to the effect that, and this is for example, I move that Micah Henry fill the vacancy of Henrietta Miller's seat. If by the regular procedures of the council, that motion receives a majority of the affirmative votes, then Micah fills the vacancy. If it does not, then a new motion is in order. With that being said, I will open the floor regarding this matter to the council.
Mr. Chairman, the way I see our charge, and let me say, I was really impressed with every interview. I mean, I think any of our people that have shown interest in it would make a fantastic board member. I don't have any reservations there. But one thing that I have to speak to is that, to me, part of our charge is, okay, first of all, children first, and then also to elect someone who we know serves District 4 well. Because as of right now, we're still in separate districts, so we have to look at that part of it. And Mr. Loudermilk, showing his willingness to serve, he has 8 years of voting record that I'll say that we didn't always agree, but that's not what it's about. It's about him doing what he sees as best for children, and I will say that I think he put every one of his votes to what I would perceive as being children first. And then he also has served 2 full terms on school board, and that to me tells me that he served his district the way the district wanted to be served. And like I said, any of these candidates would be well suited. I don't have a reservation, and we'll be happy with however it goes. But I had to speak my mind that when we have a candidate who has 8 years' experience, who has been elected by the district that we're asking to fill the seat for, and that I, in my heart, know that he did what he perceived as putting children first, then I would be amiss not to nominate Marty to fill this seat.
Okay. We have a nomination for Marty Loudermilk. All in favor of the nomination, raise your right hand. Okay. That does not constitute a majority, so the floor is open at this time for additional nominees.
Mr. Chair, I agree totally with Terry that Marty done a fine job, and I have absolutely nothing against that, and it would be perfectly fine for him to serve. From tonight and everything I've heard, all you guys done a great job, and any of y'all would be fine on the board. It would be a pleasure for any of us to serve with you. Just from what I don't really know any of you guys, very little, and that's fine. Just from experience and what I've seen and what I've heard tonight, I think Cindy Sellers would have the experience to help us and help us grow. I feel like the board's sort of in a critical place. It's time for us to unite, and we got a lot of things to do in the next few years. So I would nominate Cindy Sellers.
Okay, we have a nomination on the floor for Cindy Sellers. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, we have a majority. So Cindy Sellers will fill the vacant seat in the district.
If I could offer just a brief comment. I think I'm the only person on the board I don't know if anybody of y'all knew this or not, but when the first time I ran, I lost 37 votes, but I still lost. But I ran again, and this will be coming up on the end of my 3rd term. So if you're really dedicated and want to help, in this role, don't give up. Try again, and otherwise still be involved in our school system, because we need all the help we can get. So I don't think anybody else has that perspective, because it's hard when you walk in, you throw your hat in the ring, and you really genuinely want to help and to serve. And if you're not successful the first time, it kind of hurts a little bit, but don't give up, and just keep going and keep helping. So thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
I'd like to add another comment. Tammy, I don't know you. James, I don't know you. I would like to know you, especially after listening tonight to what you shared and what you do. I work a lot in the community, and one of the comments that all of us are talking about in the nonprofit world is the growing problem of finding volunteers. I think we were all pleasantly surprised at the number of people that did this. We did not, at least I didn't expect it. They had trouble finding people to run, and that seems to be becoming part of the problem in our community. So please stay active, find places. I can guide you to quite a few places that need people that right now where you can make a difference and touch kids. And this election, in 2 years, the seat is open again. And I think all of us would love to, I personally can speak for my district if someone else is out there. I would love to see people running for the seat and wanting to be in this role. So thank you for what you did, and I hope I get to know you.
I'd just like to say thank you for coming out and taking the time to interview with us. It was nice to get to talk to all of you, because we don't know everybody, so I appreciate your time.
Can you check your calendar? Okay. Any other comments? Okay, I think there is a definite consensus among the board that we are very appreciative of your effort. And the great thing about this form of adoption that the board chose at the prior meeting, in essence, it's hard if you find unanimous decisions all the time from a board. You get kind of leery. You get kind of nervous. So there's always going to be different perspectives. I think that's one good reason that we have district representation, is that we each bring something inherently different. We represent different social dynamics, economic, etc. So tonight was certainly a first for me as an elected official, dating back to when I was 28. But I will always contend that we need people to file for office. A majority of this board, those seats were unopposed. And really you wonder, well, if you don't file, who's going to file? And we need competition in our local elected offices. We're such a small community that, if you have opposition, it's good, because at the end of the day, both candidates, or however many run, they really care about the situation that they live in, and they care about the children. So a few things I hope will transpire in the coming months. We're going to continue to hit home that a majority of those seats were unopposed, and that needs to change. That needs to change. We need more buy-in to our community, and especially our school districts. But the way that the statute sets it out, nobody got any no votes tonight. They were all yes votes, and the way it's set up, the majority rules, and that's what has taken place. But I would like to have another special call meeting to swear in our new board member elect.
Next Tuesday night, we have the finance training with the booster groups and PTOs with Mike White. That's at 6. You want to try to do something right before that training?
Can the
We do
board
it at
members?
lunchtime? Can we do a lunch?
We could do it at noon, couldn't we? Or your call, because this room's pretty frequently used.
Okay. We could schedule another time. I have a conflict on that Tuesday. I don't have anything on Monday. 25th?
Could y'all be here Monday to?
I have a board meeting at the Y at noon.
Okay. Could we do it right before our regular meeting?
Well, I had hoped that we would have a full board seated, and she would have.
I mean, I can do it other times. I can do
Could we do it right
evening.
before meeting with Jeffrey Elmore on the 28th?
Yes, that would be great. Could you meet on the 28th?
We have a 6 o'clock meeting scheduled already that we will advertise. It will be public, but it's with Representative Jeffrey Elmore. So if we could do your swearing in at 5:45 and move right into that, or do you want to do it at 5:30?
5:30.
5:30. Will that work? Good.
Okay.
Good. And Judge Graham to do that for us?
If he would.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, if no other business is to come before this board tonight, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. We stand adjourned.